Welcome to the 11th day of the 12 days of Christmas. So today what we're going to do is essentially ZBLL for lazy people. So we're going to learn how to take advantage of how COLL cases work to be able to essentially come up with a one-look 2-alg last layer system. It's obviously going to be slower than ZBLL and also won't be worth it in certain cases where recognising the EP is going to be quite bad. For example, that was my water bottle. For example, if you have this COLL, so 2GenH, let's say here, so much quicker to cancel into the OCLL than do anything about it. But you know, it can help, and to be honest, just learn the ZBLLs for this case, because half of them are mirrors or inverses of double soon, and the other half are either soon combos or one alg that is like just a load of sexy strung together. So anyway, back onto this. So we're going to start off with quite an easy example. So this is, well, the first four are quite easy. So this is, this COLL case, this is the pure version. So the alg, most people do, there's also the RUD one, but is fat sledge. And as you can see, what that does is that preserves this block. So what that means is that, let's say we're doing H-perm, we know that when we do this alg, that this will give us an H-perm, because there's an H-perm there. So you can essentially get into last layer without stopping, and we could do the same thing with other EPLLs. So if you don't know two-sided EP recognition, never mind two-sided PLL recognition, learn it, because this is even more useful, and it's also only a subset, so there are only 12 patterns that you need to recognise, and it's very useful. But anyway, this one, you know, is going to give us a clockwise U-perm. If I can do the alg, anti-clockwise, because I know my directions. But yeah, there's a similar thing with this case. So it's the same, but just from a U2 away. So this time this block's going to be preserved, so I know the orange is going to go there, so I can transition straight into a U-perm like that. For this case, it's a similar story, but instead this block is preserved. So if you want to cancel into RU, you can do MU, but whatever's comfortable. Similar for this case, but this time this block is preserved. So we know that it's going to be this U-perm that we can cancel into again. There's also the mirrors for the final two. You can figure them out, they're quite easy. They're basically identical to the last ones. So now for this pi COLL case, there are some interesting properties if you use the algorithm and the inverse, which solves the other one. So so the blue is there and the green is there, and once you've done the alg, they stay in the same place. So this can be used to your advantage. So in this case, we know, well, we just saw, but we're going to have the anti-clockwise U-perm, which we can cancel into. If I cancel properly, I can't cancel, but yeah, that one. And with this case, this block is preserved, so orange is going to go there, red there, blue there. And you can use this all to your advantage, but I'll show you with this case. So you can see that if we did the alg, we'd get a Z-perm, because Z-perm pattern there. So instead, what we can do is we can just do the OCLL, and if we know the PLL that's going to come up, we're getting essentially the same thing, but we've got a much better last layer. So instead of having to do the worst COLL into a Z perm, we can instead do the better OCLL into a better PLL. So if we take this as an example, so this is a similar case where you can use this block to recognise for this COLL case. Instead, if you go here and do that, you get an F perm, which is slightly slower than a Z perm. Actually, that was probably not the best case, so it was probably better to do COLL EPLL, but you get the point, so you can see what's coming up next. And you can do the same thing for other COLL cases that don't preserve the block. So, for example, soon, if they were opposite, those two, so if that was a green edge, this would skip PLL. I'll show you. So if that was green, skips, but it's not because it's red instead. So I'll show you with this again. So what we know from the soon case is that this will stay in place, and this will essentially rotate a U2 around, and CP will be preserved because it's 2gen. So what we can do is we can see, okay, this, so orange is going to go there, so this is going to be a U-perm that way. And what did you know, it's a U-perm that way. I wouldn't recommend doing this for all cases or even most cases, but it's certainly very useful if you want to, well, if they're easy to recognise cases, like whether you're going to skip soon or not. And any slight variance of the skip, the soon PLL skip case, you can use your advantage. So even if you recognise that it's not quite there, you still know what to do straight after, so it's much more of a smooth process. So essentially what this does is just removes all possibility for, well, any need for EPLR recognition, which, while it isn't slow, if you do it at the same time as COLL recognition, it's definitely faster. Still, it's better to learn ZBLL, but knowing these tricks can help you firstly decide which ZBLL or which COLL sets are more worth it. So, for example, for the for this T case, no, that's not T, that's the inverse. For this T case, even though that algs for T are very fast, this is one of the slower cases, and if you can just do an easy OCLL into an EPLL without pausing, you might as well learn that later on. Still learn it, but it's less important. Or for something like L, like these COM cases, so where these are the same, it's either opposite there or there, they're definitely not as good for the ZBLL sets, and because you can do the COLL trick, you can basically only ever force good last layers. So if I set the Z perm, I think if I do this, it gives me a T perm. So even if I have a Z perm there, and I don't want to get to Z perm, and I don't know the ZBLL, I can just do this instead, use her into a T perm, and have a better last layer. So hopefully that all made sense, and hopefully it's helpful. This video has been longer than I expected, but hopefully it's informative. Tomorrow is the last day, so I'll tell you, actually no, I'll leave it as a surprise because it's going to be a big Christmas present. But the video, it might be longer than this. But yeah, hope this has helped, because a lot of people ask for COLL. Like, I didn't think I got anyone asking for anything else, so it's obviously a big thing, and I guess a lot of people know COLL, so any way to cut down on solve times is good. So yeah, see you tomorrow with the last day of Christmas.